freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your DFS preview for this week's Zurich Classic, a team event. I've got my teammate right here. It's Greg DuCharme. Hello, Greg.
Let's get after it, Rick. What do you say?
Let's hit this thing.
Yeah, I'm fired up for this. It's pretty cool. I don't know who's going to win for the first time in what seems like 5 weeks. So, this is going to be an interesting test. It's back to the old school handicapping days, but it's going to be fun nonetheless.
Scotty Scheffler not playing this week, so it is open season out there. Just about anybody could raise the trophy or put the belts on. No, are the belts for the PNC? What do they get for winning this?
Rick, you're the trophy guy.
I know. I think they get belts for this too, don't they? Crystals and a belt?
That would be pretty cool. They should.
I don't remember. Maybe just a trophy. Maybe just the crystal trophy. I think the belts is PNC.
I think you're right.
Anyway, here's the deal, Greg. We have to discuss what in the world is going on this week and how this differs from a normal week from a fantasy perspective. Because, as mentioned, team event, 2 rounds, 1 round of best ball, 1 round of alternate shot, cut, best ball, alternate shot. But for fantasy purposes, you can only draft 1 member of each team. You cannot draft both Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, and it doesn't matter which one you pick because the points are going to be the same no matter what happens.
Right. A team birdie, they both get a birdie. Right. A team bogey, they both suffer the consequences. So you're drafting teams, which is the right way to do it. And it's a cool element. So if you want Xander Cantlay, they cost $11,200, and it's a package deal. In essence, you're drafting 12 players this week, and what they do as a team, it all counts. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a cool little setup. They will be playing 4-ball foursomes, 4-ball foursomes, and the easy way to remember this, if you're reading any literature on it, is 4 sums. You hit the ball some of the time. That's alternate shot. 4-ball. There are 4 balls in play, and that's what is commonly known as best ball or better ball.
I always remembered it because 4 balls in play, and then I just remember, okay, well that means 4 sums is the other one,
right?
But
you do that too.
Some of the time, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, that's how I remember it. It makes it so easy. Oh, some of the time. And 4-ball, oh, that's the other one. And there's 4 balls in play. It makes sense.
Or it's 4-ball and you hit it all the time.
There you go.
It's like they made it this way.
It's like somebody designed it. They planned it out to be memorable.
So those are 2 very different styles, Greg, right? When we play 4-ball or best ball, there's going to be guys on 59 watch, right? I mean, they are going to go very, very low. Alternate shot or 4 sums where you're hitting the ball some of the time, a lot more difficult.
Significantly more challenging. And there's also another area is when you think team golf, you think, oh, well, your partner can bail you out. You got help. And you also think, oh, well, their games seem like they would mesh nicely. I got a great driver and a great iron player. That would be great. Or a great ball striker and a great putter. That's a great combo. But your partner can only bail you out in 4-ball because your score doesn't necessarily have to count. So that's where you see guys get a little more aggressive. They may push the envelope a little more because there is that element of backup. Hey, I'm going to go first. I'll bash driver. If it doesn't work out, you can be more conservative. If it does work out, you can bash driver too. And we can both try to go make a birdie. And for sums, now the combination of games becomes more important, and strategy also becomes very important as well. So they are very different combinations, and it creates a nice mix up in this event.
I'm glad you kind of hit on a couple of different ways to look at this. So let me get your thoughts on which of these you might prefer. You have 2 guys with similar skill sets. You have two guys with complementary skill sets. Maybe one's a great driver, one's a great second shot player, the other one's a good putter, etc. Or what about experience, Greg? Guys like Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele have a lot of alternate shot experience. They have a lot of experience playing this type of thing, like whether it's President's Cup, Ryder Cup, if you want to extend it to QBE shootout or any of these other formats that we have seen this played before. Those are kind of the different styles you might be looking at when you're going through the teams.
Couple interesting things on experience. There's not a ton of experience in this field. Cantlay and Schauffele have experience. I think you would pick them no matter what because they're such great players. So I as far as fantasy purposes are concerned, looking at combined strokes gained total would be something that I think is very valuable, probably more valuable than experience. In the case of Schauffele and Cantlay and McIlroy and Lowry, they have both. So it makes a lot of sense. And also the Ryder Cup, the guys that make the Ryder Cup tend to be the better players. So if you have that Ryder Cup experience, you're probably also rating very high in the combined strokes gained total. As for the comparison of games, complementary games, games that mesh well, this also has to do with general ability. Like, are you really trying to pick guys who you think might ham and egg it really well together? I think that's a difficult game to play.
I agree.
And so I'm much more worried about, well, how are these guys playing? If you get two guys that are playing really well at the same time, I'm less concerned about their skill set. We're not playing in a scramble. You know, if this was a scramble and you hit the tee shot, both hit a tee shot, pick the best spot, both hit from there, pick the best spot, that might be a different story. But you're going to play your own ball or you're going to play from where your partner hits it. And the weakest link often carries a lot of weight in that format.
100%. Yes. That I agree with basically every word that you just said. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump headfirst into this. I mean, there are some interesting teams. There are some teams that I wonder how they got together, and we're going to have to try to parse through the good, the bad, and the ugly for this week. We are going to start that process after a quick word from our partners.
One last shot to seal their fate. Who will earn the chance to be champions? It's the Coppa Italia semi-finals on CBS Sports Network and streaming live on Paramount Plus.
And we're back. Okay, Greg. Okay, Troy, if you want to share my screen, that'd be great. Thank you very much. Okay, Greg. So I've loaded this into my site, rickrungood.com, and it's a little bit different for this week. You're going to see me jumping around a lot because, you know, the site's not necessarily designed for two players at the same time, but I do have some items where, like you mentioned, combined strokes gained, you know, last 36 rounds, Cantlay, Xander, Rory, Lowry, they're 1 and 2, right? So I'm going to bounce us through a lot of different stuff here, but let's look at the four teams that are the most expensive. That is Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele. They're 11,200. Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry, they're 10,700. Will Zalatoris and Sahith Theegala are 10,003. And the only other team above $10,000 is Colin Morikawa and Kurt Kitayama. So let's start there, Greg, and see what we can figure out.
Okay. Xander Cantlay makes just a ton of sense. You're talking about Xander Schauffele, who may be the second best player in the world all around right now. His form has continued. It was a little slow at the RBC Heritage, but all in all, he has been great. And you add to the mix now his partner, Patrick Cantlay, who is coming off his best finish by far in a PGA Tour event at a spot that he typically plays well at. And now you kind of combine the two, and they both play well together. And they've played well together here and won this event as a pair. So they are a very clear first choice in my opinion.
Agreed. They are a very clear number one. They have a win, a fourth, and an 11th in the last 3 years. I will mention, you know, it's kind of a volatile volatile format to have three straight top 11s together, with one of them being a win, plus everything else that you mentioned about how great they are, the Ryder Cup stuff, the President's Cup stuff. That's an unbelievable record.
Yeah, you check all the boxes. You know, they play, which is not typical for Americans. They play the foursomes format really well together. Their games are similar, but they also could mesh with anybody because they're both so well rounded. So yeah, this is the complete team. They set the standard. They are the best team, and I think they're worthy of playing. Now,
so the gold standard, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay. If not them, then who?
Yeah. Well, my next favorite team would probably be Sahith Theegala and Will Zalatoris.
I'm with you.
Now I'm skipping Rory and Lowry. Part of that is Shane Lowry's putting has been terrible, and I fell victim to that last week. And so maybe there's a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth with that. But Theegala and Zalatoris are phenomenal. Both of them. Sahith Theegala has made such a big stride this year in his game. He is so complete, and it's really fun to watch. So I love what he can do with his iron play, what he's done, especially this year. He can get super hot on the greens. He can be an absolutely great putter, which I think can go a long way when you kind of have to get hot in this event. I mean, you got to get up to 20 under at least to really have a chance. So somebody's going to have to be filling it up and making putts. And I think that's a really nice mix for Will Zalatoris, who I typically wouldn't like in a birdie fest. But having a putter on your team like Sahith Theegala could be a huge asset.
Yeah, so that it'll allow for a little bit of pressure off of Zalatoris on the putting greens, even if it is, hey, I know my partner also has a look for birdie or a look for par. We have 2 cracks at this, or he's only going to hit half the putts in alternate shot, right? And to your bigger point, Sahith has elevated his game to a completely different level. I mean, just these top finishes recently: 5th in Phoenix, 6th at Bay Hill, 9th at the Players, runner-up at the RBC Heritage. And it's not like he's missing cuts outside of that. I'm just highlighting his best finishes at the biggest events. He has turned into a really, really solid player.
Yeah, consistent, steady, hasn't missed a cut since the Sony Open. And he's kind of changing the tune on what we thought about Sahith Theegala when he first came out. Kind of seemed wild, inconsistent, with a lot of potential, and he's brought his floor up significantly higher. And then you partner him with Will Zalatoris, who kind of has a pretty high floor and is a elite player. And we kind of know that inherently. His ball striking is just so solid. I have to think this is probably my second favorite team. I can't believe I'm skipping McIlroy and Lowry.
Right. So you mentioned it with Lowry. I gave him a pass for losing 7 strokes putting at Augusta National, but I don't think I can give him a pass for losing another 7.5 last week at Harbor Town. So now we're down 15 strokes to the field over the course of 2 starts. The good news is he does get Rory McIlroy. These guys have played together in Ryder Cups in the past, but there's just something about this team that does not breed a lot of confidence for me.
Yeah, and it could backfire. I have a larger take on Rory that now that the Masters is past us, it's almost like the season is divided into 2, where there's pre-Masters and post-Masters. And I really like Rory post-Masters. I think he is going to have a great year. But he hasn't played a lot here. He hasn't ever played here.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever played it as a member of a team. I don't know if he's ever played it. No, he's never played it even as an individual, because this wasn't always a team event. Right.
I believe Billy Horschel won the last individual version.
I believe he's
the one last week.
Who has won it as a member of a team and a member and an individual.
I believe that's right.
Greg? Who's the guy who's won it twice as a member of a team? I mean, let me look this up and make sure I have it
right. Why do I want to say Ryan Palmer?
Ooh, that's not who I was thinking of. Ryan Palmer won it with
Rahm.
With John Rahm. and he's had some good partners along the way, but he only has one win
Who's won it twice
with different partners in each one.
Is he playing this week?
He is. Yeah. That's a loaded question.
I know who it is. Mark Leishman.
Okay. His partner.
Cam Smith.
Yeah.
Cam Smith. Oh.
Cam Smith and Jonas Blixt won the very first team event. And then Leishman and Cam Smith got together, and both of those were won in a playoff. They beat Louis Oosthuizen and Charles Schwartzel.
Yeah, that was tough for Louis and Charles.
I'm pretty sure one of them dunked it in the water in the playoff, right?
Yeah, I think it was Louis immediately.
Yeah, for like tee shot in the playoff splash.
Yep, done, over.
Yeah. Anyway, so a little bit of a tangent there. So technically, Cam Smith is playing this week. He's just
not at this event.
Not at this event. And then the only other team here, Greg, is at the top is Morikawa and Kitayama. Good buddies. They're both Vegas guys, but I don't want any of this.
Nope. I have my concerns. Morikawa feels a little like fool's gold. We talked about that yesterday quite a bit on the podcast. So I'm a little worried about that. And Kitayama, I like his game, but his form hasn't been it hasn't been enough for me to put up 10,000 for that team. I have enough concerns.
Yeah. Big difference between those guys and the other guys that just are a little bit more expensive. Okay. The 9K range. So this is where we start to get a little bit of a bigger range. So we've got the Fitzpatricks. That's Matt and Alex. We've got a pair of Canadians in Pendrith and Connors, Tom Hoagie and Maverick McNeely, another set of Canadians, Nick Taylor and Adam Hadwin, the Højgaard twins, Rasmus and Nikolai. And then we rounded out with Sepp Straka and Bryce Garnett.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. So what do you want to do here?
Okay, I think my favorite team is in this range. Okay. You probably know who I'm going with.
I'm not sure that I do, but actually I might. Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin?
No, good guess.
Yeah. Okay, then it's Hoagie McNeely.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That was going to be my first pick, but then I got thrown off by the Desert Fox.
Yeah. We're not in the desert. And I love Nick Taylor too, but they haven't been great as of late. I think they're actually my second favorite Canadian team. I think I prefer Connors and Pendrith.
Wow.
Which is surprising.
How the mighty have fallen.
How the mighty have fallen. Look, we got to be unbiased here.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just an unbiased opinion. I think Connors and Pendrith are the Canadian team to beat. Taylor Pendrith coming off at T11 down there at Corrales Punta Cana, hopefully righting the ship and getting this season back on track. And playing alongside Steady Eddie, Corey Connors, I think could be a really good sign.
That Hoagie McNeely team has been combined strokes gained just as good as Rory McIlroy and Shane Lowry have been over the last 36 rounds. You get Hoagie, the flusher, and he's been putting well. And then you get McNeely, who's striking it better and has always been a great putter. These two, I'm with you. I love these two.
Yeah, this is sweet. And you look at Hoagie, and he didn't have a great approach week last week. Gained nothing, lost nothing. And the situation on 18 had to play a role in that. So I think that affects those statistics a little bit. But he's been putting. You got two very competent putters. You got a guy who's been driving it great in Maverick McNeely. And Tom Hoagie's the flusher of all flushers. And he'll come out this week and flush. So I think that team could be a kind of, maybe they're not a sleeper, but they could be a non-favorite to win.
I will say there was a lot of conversation around the Fitzpatricks last year, which I did not necessarily think was super warranted, because at the time, Alex he had no status anywhere. And it was just like a gift from Matt to play this event. He now he does have status on the DP World Tour. He's been playing a lot better. This is by far the best he's played in a long time. He finished 23rd in Punta Cana last week. I don't know if they're gonna figure it out, but it's different this time around for me.
Yeah, he's a real touring professional. He's got a legitimate game. He can play, and there's got to be a sense that he belongs here. Obviously, he wouldn't be here if it weren't for Matt Fitzpatrick, because he's not a PGA Tour player, but he's a legitimate touring professional. So, yeah, that team has probably elevated from last year. But, Rick, I don't think they're the best team of brothers.
Oh.
I mean, Rasmus and Nikolai, that could be... One, you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I think either if they're playing alternate shot, whoever wants to hit it can hit it.
Yeah, what they should really do is wear the same outfit. And then, when you go to a baseball game and in between innings, it comes up on the screen and it's like, 3 baseball caps and 1 hat goes underneath.
Yes.
Baseball goes underneath and they mix them all around. If they just wear the same outfit and then just like start spinning around in circles and then come out, we'll have no idea which one's which.
They just walk in a little weave, a figure 8, mix it up every once in a while. You're not sure who's who, and whoever's hot can hit the shot.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's a sneaky advantage that they certainly won't be taking advantage of. But these guys are like prototypical superstars. They are what's coming in the pipeline to the PGA Tour. And if it weren't for Matthew Pavone, they would both be on the PGA Tour.
That's right.
So these guys are just so good. And while their strokes gained total may not rank as highly as you'd think, I think their talent level certainly does.
Yeah. And a really nice spot to get kind of 2 guys. I mean, this obviously there's going to be very few, if anybody, more comfortable than this team out there. They're $9,100 and they're, I'm with you. They might be, I think I would, especially considering the price, I would play them before I played the Fitzpatricks.
I would too. So I would go McNeely, Hoagie, Højgaard. And I just have a feeling that Connors and Pendrith is a good play. Not fun. It's not exciting, but I think that'd be my third option.
Okay, well, we've got more to get to. The names get more interesting, and the questions get louder about how do these two even know each other? But we're going to get to those guys and much more after a quick word from our partners.
2 big boys getting ready to play. Big being the operative word here. And here they come.
And we're back. There's an interesting question in the chat in regards to one and done. Someone said, Jake said, in one and done, do you have to pick both golfers this week? Well, I will just put out a PSA. The run your pool first cut one and done has no selections this week. So take the week off, enjoy. We'll catch you at Byron Nelson.
Yep. Bye week. Depending on other one and dones, the more common way to do it, Greg, is you pick one golfer, get access to both. So if you've already used Rory McIlroy, you could conceivably choose Shane Lowry and get access to both of those guys. So that is how normally these work. And then you find yourself picking like the weaker player on the best team. Exactly. You'd pick Alex Fitzpatrick to get access to Matt Fitzpatrick.
Right. Or if you really want Morikawa, you pick Kurt Kitayama.
Right. Or you take Rasmus Højgaard, not Nikolai.
Correct. You would never pick the better player. But
you got to check your rules, because we did it last year before we had run your pool where you had to take both.
That's right. So always double check, because we have played it where you burn both, and that's out there. So just check your rules. But
savage.
It's pretty
I've
dirty.
seen it, Rick, with double points, double burn, double points. It's like a major at that point.
I don't mind it. The 8K range. We've got Billy Horschel with new partner Tyson Alexander, Keith Mitchell, Joel Damon, Taylor Montgomery, Ben Griffin, Bo Hostler, and Sam Ryder. Then we round this thing in the middle with Dietrich and McIntyre, Rye and Lipsky. The bottom is Gim and Kim. That's Doug Gim, Chan Kim, Daniel Berger and Victor Perez, Davis Thompson and Andrew Novak. And then at $8,000 flat, Andrew Putnam alongside Joe Highsmith. And we round it out with Ryan Fox and Garrett Kigo.
Cool range. I think there's a lot of options. Billy Horschel and Tyson Alexander are, I think, a legitimate play here. Very good fit. Billy Horschel has a great record here. And I think Tyson Alexander is actually pretty good. His results, you haven't seen him on a lot of leaderboards. He's missed some cuts, but narrowly. And that kind of seems to be where he hangs out. He spends a lot of time around the cut line, but he can make them. And Billy, coming off a win last week, has, that's not really out of nowhere. He has made some significant strides in his game this year. And if you want to give yourself a lot of birdie opportunities, which you do here, Billy, before last week, was all the way up to 7th in greens of regulation for the year. And then he goes out and wins. So I haven't seen the updated updated stats, the official stats, but it's pretty darn good. So I think that's a legitimate team at 8,900.
I joke at times that Billy Horschel cares way too much about events like this, but I also think it brings the best out of his partner. Right now, he's gonna get a downgrade. No offense to Tyson Alexander. I mean, we know that Sam Burns is better than Tyson Alexander, but I think that Billy Horschel could will the most out of him, and this is the best that Billy's been playing leading into this event for a long time.
Yes, and Tyson Alexander is not a throwaway.
No, he's not.
He's no star, but he's no throwaway either. So a very worthy partner. So I do like that team. And I like them quite a bit. There are two other teams, maybe 3, but I think 2 other teams. I think Chan Kim and Doug Gim are interesting.
Chan Kim is quietly putting together some decent results.
Yeah. Tied 14th at the Valero Texas Open, tied 6th at the Corrales Punta Cana. And even in Houston, he hit the ball really well. Really well. He was tied 8th back in Mexico. So he has performed very nicely. And Doug Gim is just a flusher. He's just a ball striking Jesse. And he hasn't been putting great, and the results haven't been great, but I still think that he is a extremely valuable partner to have. And you're getting him at a great price.
Yeah, so he's the putter, which it looked like he fixed, has started to cool off a little bit, but I mean, he's still great from tee to green. Chan Kim's playing great golf. These guys could fill it up in a big way.
Yeah. So they're very much in play. I think you're going to like this team. My third choice.
Okay.
Andrew Novak.
Yeah.
Davis Thompson.
That's my favorite team.
Right? This is a great team on paper.
Of course.
Don't know how they know each other.
There's probably a Sea Island connection.
Okay, that would make sense.
But I don't outside of them both being St. Simon's guys, I don't know.
Novak just hits it so good. And I want a partner like that. And the results have been very steady. I mean, he missed the cut at the Players, but that's really it since his 3 straight top 10s. And then you got a couple of made cuts, but nothing special in Texas. But you add in someone like Davis Thompson, who has been putting really well this year, and also mixing in some pretty decent results. Tied 18th last week down in Corrales, tied 21st at the Houston Open. He's mixed in a couple of good ones. Tied 15th in Phoenix, another top 25 in Mexico. This guy can really play, and I think that team, they both make each other stronger.
This is just. If I fast forward to Sunday night and this team is in the mix, you'd be like, of course they are. I mean, this is the type of team that wins these things or plays well in these things. It's 2 guys who are above average PGA Tour players who can get hot, who have probably great vibes, who have everything to play for, who are playing well. Like this is just go out and play some golf with zero expectations. Let's see how low we can go and try. I mean, it's like Davis, Riley, Nick Hardy, but better.
Definitely better, right? Because they've put up legitimate results. You know, they've recorded top 25s and top 10s consistently this year. Davis, Riley, and Nick Hardy, their games kind of make sense, but their results leading in didn't.
Yes.
So you're right. It's better.
It's better. Yeah, that's my favorite team. They're $8,100. I agree with you that Doug Kim, Chan Kim, they might miss the cut. They might win the golf tournament, but I think that they can fill it up. And then, yeah, I'm not as keen on this range. I think like Dietrich and McIntyre would be fine. I think Horschel and Alexander would be fine just because Billy is going to gut this thing out no matter what. So
there will be no quitting him.
I think there's going to be a lot of attention on Keith Mitchell and Joel Damon, which I'm not here for.
I am staying away from big time. So there was one other team that I'm marginally, I really just want to get your thoughts. And that is Daniel Berger and Victor Perez.
Yeah. Because Perez has been playing probably better than people realize. And I'm not sure what Daniel Berger is right now, right? I mean, we're getting a guy who doesn't play a ton, and when he does, it's okay, right? He's still a great ball striker. He's struggling with the flat stick. Maybe this is kind of the thing that he needs, like a little bit of help, right? Just a little bit of partnership.
Just a boost.
Yeah.
Give me a spot. So they're curious for me.
I don't mind it. I mean, Daniel Berger at his peak was a top 10 player in the world.
Right. And now he's here at 8,200 with a guy that, I mean, is striping it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I'm like a 6 out of 10 on that.
Okay. Yeah. They're fourth on my list. So I'm with you.
The 7K range. So there's a lot of teams here. So there's 80 teams, and it's a small cut, isn't it? It's like 34 in ties, 30.
I believe that I think that's right, Rick, because they try to get it to like.
They try to get like 65 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
33 in ties, right? So they're trying to get it back down to like 65, basically.
Yeah, because you got to have a certain number of players on the golf course. It's also why there's 80 teams. You know, it's actually normal. You just double them up, cut it in half.
You're right. So a lot of teams here. So the top of the 7K range starts with teams like Austin Eckroat and Chris Gotterup, Thorbjorn Olsen and Matt Wallace, Gary Woodland and Lee Hodges. The middle of this range will get you Harry Hall and Scott Piercy, Steve Stricker and Matt Kuchar, our defending champions, Davis Riley and Nick Hardy. And then the bottom of the range will get you names such as Eric Barnes and Harrison Endicott, Ryan Brehm and Mark Hubbard. I see like Zach Johnson and Ryan Palmer down here as well. So lots of different angles we can take here.
Okay, my top angle is near the top, 7,700. Taylor Moore and Matt Neesmith.
Yep.
These guys have played together before.
Yep.
Twice and finished fourth and tied fourth.
Yep.
I think I really like Taylor Moore's game. And I know that RBC Heritage didn't go great. He did perform pretty well at the Masters with a tied 20th. I just think his game is really strong. And then Matthew Neesmith, his partner, has not been playing well at all, which is probably why they're priced the way they are. But I still think this guy has a legit game.
The good news, if you want to treat this as good news, which I will, because I also like this team, and I'm going to find the silver lining here. So they have finished fourth each of the last 2 years, and Neesmith was playing like crap before both of those two.
Yeah.
And it's just maybe the spark that he needs to get Taylor Moore by his side. Moore's playing great again. I agree. I'm in on this team. I don't care if Neesmith is struggling.
Right. And I think his skill set can help. You know, it's like it gives you a little boost. I don't know if they're going to have what it takes to win, but I think they're a valuable DFS play.
Go finish again.
Yeah. Who knows?
Take that.
All right. Now, this other team here I really like. There's some more dart throws in this range for sure. For sure. But I really like this team of Nate Lashley and Rafael Campos.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So Campos is a guy you've liked on a couple of occasions this year, early on especially. Like I think you liked him in Mexico. Finished tied 38th. He finished 18th in Puerto Rico. Tied 14th last week in Corrales. And Nate Lashley's been playing some really good golf.
I know.
He's been hitting it really well. He missed the cut at the Corrales, which I don't love. But really good player who can fill it up with birdies.
I mean, Nate Lashley was great at the Players, was great in Houston, was pretty good in Texas. I don't know how he missed the cut in Corrales.
Yeah, I don't either. Just I guess he's an inconsistent kind of guy, generally.
Good. That's what I want.
Yeah, so I'm fine with that. I'm right there with you. So I love that team. I also like this guy's been kind of a favorite for us on this DFS episode, and it's Matty Schmid.
Yes.
Matty Schmid playing alongside Alex Smalley.
Yep.
Who I also am a fan of his game in general. It hasn't been great lately, but he did finish tied 6th last week in Corrales, and Schmid finished tied 11th.
And Schmid closed like crazy. He barely made the cut, and then he gained 7 strokes over the weekend to finish T11. Alex Smalley, who again, I'm trying to find the silver lining on a team that I already like, has been miserable. He's missed 7 straight cuts before last week where he finished T6. So yeah, I'll take a 4-round sample size, combine it with a guy that both of us have really liked all year, ever since he switched to long putter and started making putts. Matty Schmid's been great, and put them together. These guys will make noise. They have to.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like they have a better chance of winning than Taylor Moore and Matt Neesmith in a strange way. Winning.
Yeah.
All right. I got a couple more darts to throw. I think KH Lee and Michael Kim are an interesting name. There's not a lot to look at in the data. But Michael Kim's been okay this year. Where are they? There they are.
They're right here.
$7,600.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, Campos and Lashley and Schmid and Smalley are better values. So I probably prefer them as dart throws. But I'm interested in KH Lee and Michael Kim.
Yeah.
And
what else
I think that's it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much I don't mind. Okay, so even at the top of this range, but I don't think we mentioned it, but like Eckroat and Gotterup, I wish Gotterup's been very bad. Eckroat's been awesome. Gotterup, at least he has an elite skill set. He can drive it far, and I don't know, maybe he can fill it up. I'm like warm on that. But I agree with you on Moore and Neesmith. I agree with you on Smalley and Schmid. Those are probably my 2 favorite. And then I'm willing to go to Vincent Norman and Jorge Campillo. Norman's got great talent, can fill it up, and now he gets kind of like a veteran Sherpa who can take him around the golf course, who's kind of seen it all. And outside of that, not super thrilled about this range.
No. I mean, Chandler Phillips and Jacob Bridgman, but it's such a stretch that I don't think you have to stretch like that.
I'd rather play these guys in the 6K range.
There are some options.
Yeah, there are a couple teams down there.
There are stretches, but yeah, there's options.
Right. So here we are in the 6K range. So the top of it is Ben Coles, Patton Kazire. That's one team. Vegas and Burgoon, Justin Suh, Rico Hoey. Those are all at 6,900. 6,500. That gets you like Vince Whaley, Adam Long, and then the min price guys are Austin Cook, Raul Pareda, Norman Zhang, and Ryan McCormick. This is I would rather I'm okay with some of these darts down here, Greg.
Me too. And there's one in particular who's at 6,100.
Whoa.
Alejandro Tosti.
Yeah. Okay. So I was looking. So 100%. This guy played a signature event last week.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Now,
Ted Potter Jr. is his partner.
Have you looked at what Ted Potter Jr. has done?
Yes.
It's not playing.
It's not anything that you want to write home about. But this is how I'm looking at this. Let's say we're at a member guest. Oh, like Ted Potter Jr. is a valuable player on your team. I believe that.
PGA Tour event.
It's a PGA Tour event. I know, but you just think like, okay, he's going to make a couple of birdies, hopefully. And Toasty does not belong in this price range.
Yeah, he's like by far the best player in the bottom half of the field, and he's almost min-priced.
Yes, and I'm just thinking back to Phil Mickelson and Charles Barkley. Like there is too much of a talent gap down here to look for me to look past that.
Ted Charles Barkley Potter. Yeah.
And comparing Phil Mickelson to Alejandro Tosti is probably not fair either. But you get what I'm saying. Like the strength can carry a team. So that team fascinates me.
It is definitely too cheap to just quickly overlook because of Ted Potter.
Right.
It's at least priced in a way that makes you think about it.
Yeah, and I think Ted Potter can get the ball in the fairway. I don't know if Toasty can.
All right, yeah. I mean, I would love to. Like, what was that phone call?
Yeah,
between these two guys who have like zero in common.
It has to be like. I think there are players who sign up for this event, and the tour does some pairing
at the end when it's just like, okay, there's 8 guys left. Let's just match them up.
Yeah, they have to do it that way. It's not a popularity contest.
It's definitely not a popularity contest. How about Mac Meisner, Austin Smotherman? I'll pull up their numbers here.
Yeah, tell me why.
Okay, so Meisner's been okay. He had the 10th place finish at the Texas Open, a 26th at Valero, a 23rd in Puerto Rico. He did miss the cut in Houston and in Punta Cana, and he's pretty well rounded. He's a decent player. And then Smotherman, he's been bouncing around, right? I don't know what his status situation is because he hasn't played a ton in 2024. He's got a couple of decent results. He played a Korn Ferry Tour event like 3 weeks ago and finished 9th. I just think that these guys are like these fresh Korn Ferry guys who are asked to go low constantly are dangerous in this.
Yeah. It's a fair point.
And they're cheap.
All right, I got a few more.
Okay.
What do you think about, I've been dying to see this guy play well, Callum Tarrant alongside David Skins.
Who David Skins, what event was he?
The Houston Open.
Okay.
And the Cognizant Classic.
Oh, that's right.
Very different golf courses.
Callum is turning a corner to turn a corner.
Because he finished tied 23rd last week.
Yeah, and he was missing every single cut, and now he's made 3 of his last 4.
Yeah, and I think he is super talented. I mean, 2 years ago, I was so high on him. I could not have been more wrong. But I still think the talent's there.
I also think he got hurt, which is always it's like saying that's like saying you were wrong on Daniel Berger. It's like, well, I don't know, not really. He was hurt.
Yeah. All right, fair. I will take that as a win for me.
Okay.
But so that team interests me. English team. Also, I think up near the top of the 6K range, there's a team from the University of Southern California that has my interest in Justin Suh and Rico Hoey.
Not only are they both USC guys, I think they're both Vegas guys, and I think they play together a lot.
Yeah, this one makes a lot of sense. And I think Rico Hoey's really good.
Dude, I have heard people like not for any, they have no reason to pump this guy up, say that he's like the best driver they've ever seen.
It's pretty cool. And he's been playing well of late. I mean, tied 14th at the Valero Texas Open, tied 33rd last week. It feels like he's starting to get his feet wet. I mean, he's made 5 out of his last 6 cuts.
Smashes the ball.
Justin Suh has not been playing very well, but I think he's super talented and can get red hot on the green.
This is the Neesmith thing, right? This is like, okay, I got a buddy on my side. I'm way better than what I'm playing right now. And when I'm playing well, my best attribute, putting, is pretty valuable here.
Yeah, really valuable. So it's not like, oh, well, he's going to make all the putts and Hoey's going to hit all the drives. You know, it's not like that. It's just, we're talking about the 6K range here. And these guys they have really valuable skill sets and they're put together. So I think that's pretty cool.
I'm surprised to see the Cooties are this low. Parker and Pearson. They both had top 20s last week, I think.
They're very low. 6,600.
Parker
finished T6.
Yeah, and he makes a ton of cuts. Pearson finished T18 and has made 4 of his last 5 cuts. He's playing at least a little bit better.
It's interesting.
It's very low. It's very low for 2 guys that are, I mean, again, there's so much, there's the, what's annoying about this event is there's so much of the intangibles, like comfort level and being comfortable from the get-go instead of starting to get comfortable on Friday afternoon of not apologizing or whatever. Like, getting comfortable immediately is a real thing in this event.
Yeah, I think so. And, you know, I go back to it. I think these players, we talked about it a little bit last night on the podcast. These players are all so good. And if you bring them out to your country club for, like I said, a member guest, they would absolutely tear it up.
Yes.
And if
every single one of these guys would smoke the guy that you think is the best player you know.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And I think there's something to that when it's not all on me. It can be, it can take a little bit of stress off your shoulders. Now it can change quickly. You get off to a bad start. You start to feel that stress again. No question about it. But I think it just raises the ability for some of these guys down in this range who look like they haven't been playing well. They're probably playing a whole lot better than you can imagine and can be a valuable piece to a team. So I'm looking for down in the 6K range in general. Like Toasty, I just think is the best player down here. So I'm willing to look into that team. Thinking Ted Potter can just give a boost. Looking at Suh and Hoey, and there's a comfort level. And there's also elite skill sets for both of those guys.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of things that I think go a long way picking down here at the bottom.
Here's what I'll say, Greg. This is not the most prestigious event in the world. However, I enjoy this. I like I like the match play. I like the team events. I like the different styles. And you're also going to get the range of, like I said, somebody's going to be on 59 watch. And then that same team is going to miss the cut when they shoot like a 4 over an alternate shot. That is going to happen.
Fascinating to watch. And it's really, it's fun. You know, it's different. Like you said, it's not the most prestigious event. It's not going to sway my opinion on who's going to win the PGA Championship.
Right.
But it's a fun, different event. And it's at a great time of year after back-to-back weeks that are pretty significant.
Yeah. And it's going to be hard to predict. It's going to be all over the place. Just enjoy it. Just embrace it. It's going to be weird. I'm looking forward to it.
There's no better feeling than getting one of your 6K teams in the mix.
Yeah.
Like, just taking a shot at I don't really need a great reason. I just create a narrative in my mind and it works. That is so fun. It stinks when it doesn't because you say, I knew, what a terrible play.
That's right. They were 6K. Don't worry about it.
Right.
Okay. Well, listen, enjoy the week. This is going to be a lot of fun. we are rocking and rolling Tuesday for the mega preview pod and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday for round by round recaps. Again, there is no one and done to be made for the first cut. Run your pool one and done. Go check your rules for anything else that you might be involved in, but you might have the week off on making picks. So enjoy the time away from your computer. Big thanks to producer Troy, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there is Greg DuCharme. You can find him on Twitter at @TheRealGFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.